But are you expecting a recession this year?
I hate to predict things like that. There is a period of transition.
As the economy struggles under the triple threat of an unnecessary Trump trade war, skyrocketing Trump inflation, and the increasing probability of a Trump recession around the corner, Donald Trump sat down for an interview with MAGA Fox News host Maria Bartiromo. And it was so disastrous that even Bartiromo herself at times seemed exasperated. Trump at various points was visibly confused or visibly nervous, lying, contradicting himself, giving incoherent answers, and pointedly refusing to commit to the American people that there won't be a recession. But before we unpack all that, if you end up liking this video and you want to support the channel, please be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and alert bells before you go. All right, folks, we played a clip of this interview a couple of days ago in a video, but now the full thing is out, and it's even more disastrous than we initially suspected. So we're going to go through some of these clips together, starting with this one.
But I asked you about this before, and I know you told me when I asked you, I said, you did use MCA. You put this together.
Yeah.
And yet then you come back and you change it up with these tariffs, and you said to me at that time, I did it because I can. I put an amendment in there, and I said in 6 years I can change it. But I think CEOs want to see predictability. They say, look, I have to speak with shareholders. I've got to make plans for CapEx spending. I can't if it's 20% one day and then it's off for a month and it's 25%.
Yeah.
So can you give us a sense of whether or not we are going to get clarity for the business community?
Well, I think so. But, you know, the tariffs could go up as time goes by, and they may go up. And, you know, I don't know if it's predictability. I think
so that's not clarity.
No, I think that they say that. You know, it sounds good to say.
So this is a clip, the one that we showed, again, just to kind of reset and remind you of what happened. So even Bartiromo is exasperated, like, hey, listen, I've asked you about this stuff before. You trash talked the USMCA, which was a deal that you signed and bragged about in 2020. Now you're pretending you didn't sign it, but also now you're citing it at various points over the past couple of days as proof of your negotiating skills. So again, it's total contradiction. And the markets are reacting in part to the total lack of predictability of your strategy. Can we get some clarity? Can we get some predictability? And he offers none. And then he seems to suggest that markets don't value predictability or clarity in order to justify his incoherent strategy. Totally ridiculous. You can see, again, Bartiromo, a dyed-in-the-wool MAGA loyalist, you know, maybe at Sean Hannity's level or less. I mean, she's basically trying to get him to not hoist himself by his own petard, and he still won't do it. So here's another clip.
Tariffs, because even as you're seeing this optimism and excitement, there's some nervousness over your tariffs. Markets have been selling off. People are not sure how to view it. Why did you roll back or put a pause into some of the tariffs until April 2nd?
Because I wanted to help Mexico and Canada to a certain extent. We're a big, big country, and they do a lot of their business with us.
Do you see, again, how incoherent he is, how totally dishonest? He's either visibly confused or, again, he is an inveterate liar, the likes of which we have simply never seen. The whole point of these tariffs, you said, was to punish Canada and Mexico for taking advantage of us. Now you're saying you're trying to help them out? Then don't impose the tariffs in the first place. Don't trigger this trade war, which is only going to hurt Mexico and Canada and the United States as a consequence. Again, folks, this isn't 4D chess. He's not some brilliant strategist. He's not some thoughtful philosopher or policy wonk. He's just a very powerful asshole who is making this up as he goes along, and it could not be more clear. And this is what Bartiromo fears the most. No coherence, no strategy, no predictability. He's just hoping you fall into the bullshit pit that he's created. He's hoping that you won't remember all of the many, many times that he has made it clear that these tariffs are about punishing Mexico and Canada and trying to correct what he sees as a trade imbalance, even though he was the one who created the supposed imbalance in the first place with the very agreement that Bartiromo brought up in the previous clip. Total incoherence. We'll continue.
And I want to ask you about Ukraine and the blow up the other day with Zelensky. Let me stay on the economy for a moment, because there are rising worries about a slowdown. You've got the Atlanta Federal Reserve saying we're going to have a contraction in the first quarter. Look, I know that you inherited a mess, and you said that the other night.
I've only been here,
but are you expecting a recession this year?
I hate to predict things like that. There is a period of transition, because what we're doing is very big. We're bringing wealth back to America. That's a big thing. And there are always periods of, it takes a little time. It takes a little time. But I think it should be great for us. I mean, I think it should be great. It's going to be great ultimately for the farmer. You know, don't forget,
So Again, that's probably the big one, folks. Again, Trump campaigned on economic prosperity, the likes of which we've never seen. He actually accused, both when he ran against President Biden in 2020 and Vice President Harris in 2024, that if they won, there would be a recession, and there wasn't, right? So he tried to weaponize recession in both of his campaigns, fears of a recession. You're going to have recession under them. We didn't. And if you do elect them, you're going to have a recession. It's going to be disastrous. But under me, there will be no recession. Now he's in office. Now he is in power. And he is refusing to commit that there won't be a recession. But remember, he said he'd snap his fingers on day one, end inflation, basically correct what he saw as, a disastrous economy in 24 hours. And now it's gotten so bad on his watch that he can't commit to the American people that there won't be a recession, even though that's exactly what he committed when he ran, right? Again, it's just one of those things where he lied to his voters. He lied to you. It doesn't matter if you're MAGA, Republican, liberal, conservative, Democrat. It doesn't matter. When he was courting your vote, trying to get your vote, he lied to your face. And now that he has power, even though he's an inveterate liar, he's basically trying to walk back expectations because he's hoping you won't hold him to his word, hold him to his commitments, and he's hoping you grade him on a curve. Don't do it. It's irrational. It's stupid. It's not in your self-interest, not in our self-interest. It's in nobody's self-interest. The only interest it benefits is Donald Trump's political interests. We'll continue.
And he was great. He did.
Before you came into the Oval Office the first time, you were a very successful businessman, very successful real estate executive. And a lot of people said, oh, this is the business president. This is it. He's watching the stock market. He knows all about, he doesn't want the market to go down. And now we've got tariffs and the market has been going down.
Well, not much. I mean, in all fairness, not much.
You said, look, we're going to have a disruption, but we're okay with that. Is that what you meant? The stock market going down was the disruption? What other disruption were you alluding to?
Look, what I have to do is build a strong country. You can't really watch the stock market. If you look at China, they have 100.
So again, Donald Trump only... Folks, again, yes, it is the principle of the thing, the blatant hypocrisy. It is so ridiculous. But also the way it's being weaponized. His hypocrisy is being weaponized in a way which will hurt you, whether you voted for him or not. So for Donald Trump, all this time, when the stock market's doing great, that is the only metric he cares about because he's a real estate billionaire. Of course he gives a shit about the stock market. Then when the stock market does things he doesn't like, he says ignore it. You can't look at the stock market. But if tomorrow the stock market, is stratospheric, he's going to say, look at the stock market. He does not want to give you a coherent metric by which to grade him. He wants you to grade him on a curve. Just do what I say, even if I totally contradict myself 5 minutes later. It's a moving target with him. I love the stock market, except when I don't, then okay, ignore the stock market. And Maria Bartiromo, who is a stock market analyst, right? I mean, if you watch her Sunday morning future shows, her weekday shows, it's a stock market that she cares about. I'm glad, probably for her sake, that the camera wasn't on her when he said what he said. He can't look at the stock market because her eyebrows probably jumped off her head. Hearing that from anybody, let alone Donald Trump. And I will also point out that when Trump, I think it was under President Obama, it might have been under President Biden, but it was under Biden or Obama. Trump famously said that, if you preside over a stock market crash of 1,000 points, you should be impeached immediately. Trump did that within the past week. But again, the standard shifts. And he is responsible for this. His economic mismanagement has and will continue to cause you extraordinary harm. So, I mean, just again, you can tell like he's just so uncomfortable with this, totally contradicting himself. The pushback he's getting from Bartiromo here. Well, you can't look at the stock market. Look at what China's doing. China doesn't look at the stock market. They have a longer term vision. Insane. We'll continue.
You wouldn't have had inflation. We had record-setting inflation under Biden. It was a killer. It's one of the reasons I won the election.
But you may get it again with these tariffs, right? I mean, one CEO said to me, my input costs have already started to go up. I'm going to have to raise prices.
In the meantime, guess what? Interest rates are down for the last 3-4 days at good levels. I mean, when you add interest rates, you're talking about it's gone down. I've been saying, let's get interest rates down. Nobody ever gets rich when the interest rates are high because people can't borrow money.
Do you see how folks, again, go back to it.
Meantime, guess what? Interest rates are down.
Look at the long pauses and how he is so struggling to get through this sentence because he knows he's just spewing words, hoping that she doesn't call him on it.
For the last 3-4 days at good levels. I mean, when you add interest rates, you're talking about it's gone down.
That was painful. Interest rates started to be cut by the Federal Reserve under President Biden. What are you trying to take? What are you talking? What are you talking about? And he's trying to again distract from the fact that inflation on his watch is skyrocketing when it was starting to decline and was on the decline under President Biden. Well, if it was Biden's fault that inflation was there during Biden's administration, it's your fault that inflation is back because now you're in charge. He just is hoping you grade him on a curve and that nobody calls him out on his bullshit.
Weapon.
You said you wanted to do the Golden Dome. You've got a lot of ideas for America. But then earlier you said you wanted to cut $1 trillion in defense spending, right?
I didn't say I was.
You did not going to. So I was like, which is it? Are you cutting defense spending or are you building us up?
I never said defense spending.
Okay, because I think you were talking about denuclearization.
Correct.
Again, so he's contradicting himself. Bartiromo's calling him out on it. He's refusing to admit it, so she's trying to give him an out. And also, by the way, this goes to certain left-wing populists who are trying to give Donald Trump a fair shake, saying he's going to cut defense spending. Apparently, he's walking that back, too. So listen, again, Trump visibly incoherent, visibly nervous, getting these sharp questions from Bartiromo, who is a MAGA loyalist. When she's asking him tough questions and getting him to explain himself, it's not going for the gotcha. It's not even to get the truth. What she's hoping to do is guide him in a way where he will have a more successful presidency and will act in ways that will benefit at least the stock market. She's actually trying to do him a favor, right? That's what this is. And he's too stupid and defiant and incoherent and hypocritical and recalcitrant, he won't follow along. And she's basically trying to offer him a layup and trying to, again, guide him towards, if he were to follow, a more successful presidency. But again, he's just too stupid, dishonest, and capricious to do that. What a disastrous interview. And I'm sure there's probably going to be more to talk about, but I really want to focus on the economic stuff in particular. But in the meantime, let me know what you think in the comments.